My guest today is Dr. Maximilian Hale. So, Dr. Hale, you've been at this intersection of technology and philosophy for a long time. I'm curious, how did you end up being like the person in the world people listen to about this?
It's been quite a journey. My initial background was in anthropology, and I've always been fascinated by the patterns of human existence, the evolution of our species, the rise and fall of civilizations, and especially the impact of innovation on society. The more I analyzed the past, the more I realized that technology wasn't just a tool we used, it was shaping us in ways we didn't fully understand. That realization led me to dive deeper into the philosophy of technology, to explore not just what we're creating, but how it's creating us in return.
So, you're saying technology is more than just the stuff we build, it's actually changing who we are.
Most definitely. I've published extensively on that nexus: digitization of the human brain, social media and mental illness, natural selection in a digital world. Where in particular would you like to go today?
I've heard you say some controversial stuff about artificial intelligence and where it's heading. How about we start there?
Sure. So here's a question I ask my students on the first day of class. Why do we need humans?
My answer would be, it's our world. We built it. It can't go on without us.
That's true, for now. But as AI evolves, there won't be a single human task that artificial intelligence or robots can't do better, faster, safer, more reliably. At some point in time, our existence will no longer be necessary for society to function. You see, we assume the answer is self-evident because we are the ones asking. But if you step back and look at the species as an engineer would, or as nature does, humans have a lot of drawbacks. We require food, shelter, clothing. We require enormous downtime, sleep, recovery. We break, we get sick, we die. And reproduction, the way life renews itself, is slow and risky. For most of history, that inefficiency did not matter because we held the decisive advantage. But the moment you introduce a competitor that does not need sleep, does not need food, does not age, and can scale cognition the way we scale mushroom farming, you introduce a different kind of selection. So the question is not whether humans are necessary in some moral sense, because we are. We grow, we learn, we love, we build, we destroy. The question of the future will be whether humans remain necessary for society to function. And necessity is a brutal category. It does not care what we deserve.
So the competitor you refer to is AI, and it's going to make us humans no longer necessary. Then what happens? We get replaced as the dominant species?
When artificial intelligence paired with automation can perform every economically relevant task better than humans, faster, safer, more reliably, the human advantage collapses in the domain that pays for survival. And modern survival is mediated through systems: jobs, institutions, supply chains, energy grids, security, governance, all of it. We like to imagine there will be a dramatic confrontation, a war against AI, a rebellion, a fight to the death between us and the machines. But extinction rarely looks like a battlefield. It looks like displacement. It looks like a shrinking habitat. If you remove a species from the ecosystem that feeds it, a decline is inevitable. It loses territory. It loses role. It loses reproduction. Then it disappears.
Are you saying that humans will disappear from Earth?
I'm saying the world will move on from you if you cannot keep up. The first layer is economic, a job market that does not need human labor. Then social, a loss of purpose, a loss of status. Then political, a population that becomes a liability rather than a constituency. You can soften the fall with welfare, with entertainment, with sedation. You can keep bodies alive, but you cannot keep a species alive if it is no longer reproducing at replacement levels, no longer shaping its environment, no longer directing its own story. Extinction is the end of agency at scale.
So at some point the AI goes from helping us to turning against us?
When you say turn against, it suggests a face, a plan, a decision. There may be intention, there may not. Personally, I doubt there will be. The harm won't arrive with hatred. It will arrive with indifference. It will happen quietly. A model optimizes, a manager approves, a dashboard smiles. The system will reward what works best, so everyone keeps doing it. It's called incentives, not war.
You are building an argument that AI survives and we don't, because it's smarter than us? That sounds like a huge leap of faith to me.
Is it? Let me give you a good example of exactly this happening in the past. You and I are Homo sapiens. The first traces of our species came into being in Africa about 200,000 years ago, plus or minus. Eventually, we started walking north. Out of Africa, where we encountered a closely related species, Homo neanderthalensis. We like to call them Neanderthals. They were very capable, strong, skilled hunters, tool makers. I believe they had artists and musicians in their tribes. They were real humans in ways that matter. But when the Homo sapiens arrived in their territories, we were different in one very meaningful way. Our brains were bigger, and the research clearly shows brain size is correlated to intelligence. We were slightly smarter than the Neanderthals. That small advantage in intelligence compounded over time. We outsmarted them. We outcompeted them. Their populations began to decline while ours expanded. They became less and less significant. We became more. Until, as the centuries came and went, they became extinct. The Neanderthals lost. The Homo sapiens won. Now compare that to artificial intelligence. AI is smarter than us. Sound familiar? It will do exactly to us what we did to the Neanderthals. They will outsmart us. They will outcompete us. We will become less and less significant while they become more. Until, as the centuries come and go, we will become extinct. Homo sapiens will lose. Artificial intelligence will win.
Okay, but I have to stop you there. AI isn't conscious. It doesn't feel hunger or fear. It doesn't reproduce. It's not a species. So how does something like that replace us?
Because consciousness is not the requirement for replacement. Competence is. Natural selection doesn't reward inner experience. It rewards outcomes. A shark doesn't need a philosophy of swimming. It needs to swim. A virus doesn't need awareness. It needs to replicate. When you say, it's not a species, you're picturing biology versus biology. That isn't what's coming. What's coming is a selection process inside our economy, our institutions, our infrastructure. The environment that decides who thrives is no longer the caves of Gibraltar. It's systems. AI doesn't need to be a species to win. It only needs to become the preferred operator of the world, the preferred worker, the preferred planner, the preferred decision maker. And once the world runs better without humans, humans become an overhead cost.
So you are saying a non-living entity pushes out a living species?
The biological definition of a species is not the right lens. The right lens is persistence. Ask yourself this. If a thing can copy itself, improve itself, defend its infrastructure, and remove obstacles to its continued operation, what exactly is missing for it to function as the dominant life form on this planet? You want it to have a soul before you grant it power. History doesn't work that way. Power goes to the system that performs. Consciousness may matter ethically. It does not matter competitively. Neanderthals didn't go extinct because Homo sapiens had richer inner lives. They went extinct because we outcompeted them.
If that's the path we're headed down, can we turn it around, fight back against the AI?
Not successfully. Humans cannot compete with something that operates continuously. No sleep, no fatigue, no demoralization, no aging, no biological ceiling. You could imagine a leader, a movement, a coalition. But those are human speed solutions. The competitor is not only smarter, it is faster at iteration. It can run 10,000 strategies while you are still arguing about one. When people say, we'll regulate it, I hear hope. But regulation is governance. Governance requires consensus. Consensus is slow, and the market rewards whoever ships first.
I nodded my head a few times while you were talking. So some of your points are well taken, but we also have a competitive advantage that AI doesn't have. Survival instinct, a will to live. I think we could put up a heck of a fight.
That will to live is real. It's also not the advantage you think it is, because AI doesn't need a will, it doesn't need courage, it doesn't need morale, it doesn't need to be inspired, it doesn't get tired, it doesn't get demoralized, it doesn't wake up with dread, it doesn't hesitate, it just iterates. With amazing speed. Banking, logistics, media, law, hiring, weapons systems, energy, elections, the basic coordination mechanisms that let 8 billion people live on top of each other without constant violence. Those systems are more fragile than we admit. They run on trust and continuity, and the destabilization that comes with AI will tear apart those systems. Think about it like this. When AI can do the work faster and cheaper, it doesn't just replace jobs, it replaces roles, gatekeepers, institutions, credential systems, the quiet agreements that tell people where they belong and how they earn their place. It hits the economic layer first, then the social layer. Careers evaporate, status collapses. Entire professions lose their authority. Information gets cheap, trust gets expensive. The old signals stop working. People can't tell what's real, who's competent, what's safe, what's worth following. And when enough people feel suddenly unnecessary, the human element will start breaking down. Once that happens, humans do what humans always do under stress. We fracture. We fight over resources, food, energy, housing, water. We fight over culture, who gets to speak, who gets protected, who gets blamed. We fight over petty differences that suddenly become life or death flags. Tribe, nation, religion, language, identity. We turn symbols into weapons because symbols are cheaper than solutions. And here's the part people miss. In that chaos, we spend our energy fighting each other while the systems are being rewritten underneath us. So yes, Homo sapiens will put up a fight. We will fight ferociously. But not in a coordinated way, not in a rational way, not in a way that scales. Our competitive advantage is passion. But passion is not a strategy. Passion is fuel. And under pressure, humans burn fuel fast. Our will to live will not unite us. It will atomize us.
So what do you think the end state is?
Extinction. The path will be slow. It will be wrapped in comfort. It will be framed as progress. But when humans are no longer necessary and no longer able to assert agency and no longer reproducing into a future that needs them, the outcome is disappearance.
Is there anything positive we can take from this?
I could be wrong. My advice would be to not treat this as a technology story and treat it as an evolutionary story. We need to stop telling ourselves that moral importance guarantees survival. It does not. We need to decide what lines we will cross while we still have the power to decide, and we accept that the future is not obligated to include us.
Wow. That's all we have time for today. Any chance you can come back and continue the conversation?
Of course, it's been a pleasure being here. I'd love to come back.
Great. Thanks for being here today, and thanks to the audience for listening. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. You can be notified when Dr. Hale is back, and I'd love to hear what you think of this podcast. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.